bigots, and how is everyone doing today, huh? Hopefully badly, because I've got a story here that quite riled my feathers. It really ground my gears. What gears are I left to grind? And, it just generally fuffed me up and got me all in a tizzy. Again, as with all these articles, I had to lie down for a little bit just to recover, have a bit more soy milk, shake it up, eat some soybeans to recover. So what it was an article about crime. Or the lack thereof, in fact. What it was some police, sort of minding their own business, and some youths happened to be in the vicinity, some rocks were thrown, some windows were smashed. The links between all of this are very fuzzy, of course. No violence is being condoned here, but, some people are suggesting that these youths might be responsible for the crime and should be arrested. Don't they know, however, that they are diverse youths? Yes, that is the kicker here. And, why don't we just jump into the article and kind of sort this all out, huh? How about that? All right, let's do that now. Alright everyone, here we are at the article. Why didn't police arrest youths who threw rocks during planned rampage? Now, that's a good question, normally. I would just put out there to begin with that we live in 2018, the current year, in brackets. And, we can see here already that normally they would be arrested if they threw rocks during a conspiratorial rampage, a planned rampage. But as we'll find out, as we get down to the start of the article here, they're Sudanese Australians. Yes. So, the Sudanese aspect, of course, is a strong part. We can't go around arresting minorities for things just like throwing rocks whilst police are present. A small, quiet suburb. Look, I mean, that's a little bit of bias already there. It's probably a bustling metropolis here, full of many different races, probably majority white, which is why we must try and keep the balance as even as possible by, not arresting all of these, sort of largely peaceful youths. I mean, I'm sure they're not throwing rocks 24/7. I mean, they're not doing that sort of raucous activity all the time, I'm sure. Okay, so we get into the article here. So the morning after a large group of Sudanese Australian youths ran riot, again, a bit of a biased word there, riot, ran amok. How about run amok? In a small, quiet suburb in Melbourne's northwest, the regional police commander stood in front of a packed media scrum and delivered 4 words that almost certainly frustrated those affected. How many arrests have you made? Commander Tim Hanson was asked after delivering a glowing review of police tactics as violent, raucous scenes unfolded at Taylor's Hill on a Wednesday night. And I'll put on a bit of the accent here for you. At the moment, none, Mr. Hanson said. So no arrests. Now that may be shocking to begin with, but look, remember, these are not white people, okay? The rules are a little bit different. Again, current year, 2018, progressivism is, in the ascendant. So the rules are a little bit flexible when it comes to, diversity. All right, so Cale Blair, who was Victoria's Police Chief Commissioner from 1987 to 1992, some of the most racist years, one might even say. The Australian, he told the Australian, the tactic was not to arrest teens who threw rocks, including one that smashed the rear window of a police patrol car, and went against his logic. Yeah, of course it would. I mean, you're born basically in the last, you're practically 100 years old. Good God, I mean, they're practically colonizing new countries in 1987, weren't they? That's my understanding anyway, in my new revised progressive history books. Anyway, so he says if you go after them... Sorry, again, I'll put on the accent. If you go after them on the spot, you know who the offenders are, and that's when you can take proper action. The burden of proof isn't that high to charge someone with a fray. The only difficulty is the practical one, identifying the offender. But that's pretty easy when you can see them throwing stones at you. Why no arrests made over that Taylor's Hill riot? Oh, sorry. That was a woman. Let me do that again. Why no arrest made over that Taylor's Hill riot? And another one here from Pamela Nathan, another woman. Riot police called to control trouble at Taylor's Hill, involving around 100 African youths from the Sudanese community. No arrest made. Why? Well, good God. One was heard to yell, "The police can't touch us." And back to the mail here. Victoria police seem powerless against the Sudanese gangs. Not one arrest at last night's thuggery. There's no wonder people are threatening to take the law into their own hands. And why not? Police can't protect you in Victoria. Now, that, of course, is all nonsense. Every single one of those tweets. Can we ban them? Can we just ban these people here? Look, I mean, let's jump over to Twitter for a moment, shall we? Yeah. How do we do... Can we just block? Yeah, there we go. Block that. Let's block all of these people. I cannot stand this racism, this bigotry, quite frankly. I just wish I had fellow progressives to share this bit of virtue signaling with. Because they've all blocked me for some reason. They've all blocked me. Now, I just blocked him. Why didn't that work? Block. Says he's been blocked. Good lord, it won't even let me block these people. What is going on here? This is some shenanigans of the highest order. Anyway, let's continue on with the article here. I'm losing my soy steam. Okay, so again, I'll put on the accent here. This is quite troubling, having to go back and forth. So you grab the offender or a couple who are acting up, and I suspect a lot of this disobedience will be over pretty quickly. Police have a role to play, and if they've got the courage to carry it out, you can't lose. That's just, you can lose, quite frankly. In the grand scheme of progressivism, you really can lose. Okay, it was a question Mr. Hanson was forced to answer again and again on Thursday. The 3AW breakfast host, Ross Stevenson, told him, people want to know how people can damage a police can? A police car in the presence of police, and no one gets arrested. Mr. Hanson said police had short-term objectives to keep the residents safe, and the rest would be taken care of later. We were really successful in that. We launched an investigation overnight. I just want to reassure everyone we take a zero-tolerance approach with this sort of behaviour. You'll certainly see some movement in the investigation and arrest space in coming days. Now, as we go through there, they take a zero-tolerance approach. Again, we probably have a different definition of zero tolerance here on the left than perhaps anyone bigoted on the right. Zero tolerance to us is zero tolerance towards this sort of man, and some flexibility towards the more diverse folks. All right, and you'll certainly see some movement in the investigation and arrest space in the coming days. Now, some might question why that didn't happen immediately after the crime was committed, whilst police were present and the offenders were also present. Again, we'll go back to the flexible zero tolerance there, and that should answer all of your questions, really. And if it doesn't, look, you're probably bigoted. Okay, so the police had intelligence that a fight between two groups, one from Pakenham and one from Melbourne, started because of a teenage relationship issue over a girl. Now, isn't that just lovely? It's a very Romeo and Juliet story, and look, whilst I didn't finish the Romeo and Juliet movie or anything like that, one can only assume that it ends happily. Maybe here as well, there'll be another giant so-called riot in the streets, and these two lovebirds will find themselves in love once more in the middle of the street, perhaps throwing a Molotov cocktail together at the police, and, getting away with it scot-free. Just again, another happy ending there. And we can see here a rock thrown by the person. Now, I won't criticize this person. Again, they are a female, so, it's well beyond me to do anything like that. But I will point out the color of her skin, and I'll let you figure out the rest, huh? How about that? Now, the guy said also that the police have a standing plan to prioritize community safety over making arrests. Again, one might sort of question how one prioritizes community safety by not making arrests. Again, if you ask that question, you know where to go. You really do know it. Click off this video, turn off the computer, throw it out the window, and just go and submit yourself to the police station already, because you're bigoted, my friend, and you've committed a crime, quite frankly. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it here. All right? I'm starting to get a little bit soy stressed, and my levels are low, and I need to be sort of reboot, have a bit of a recharge, and kind of get this out of my system here. So let's cross back over and get some final thoughts, shall we?
And so there we have it, everyone. As we can see, some diverse youths there, in my opinion, utterly innocent. I mean, really, those rocks, look, they could have been thrown anywhere. Maybe they just happened to hit those windows. So I think we let them off. As the police say, they've got some guidelines in place to keep the community safe without making any arrests. So why don't we let them continue with those efforts and just kind of see what happens? I mean, I'm sure no one will get hurt or injured or even die in the process because of anything like this. And I'm sure those youths, because of this lenient treatment, will all grow up to be fine, upstanding citizens in the Commonwealth of Australia. I know I would certainly be safer roaming the streets out here, just with them walking past me. I would feel very comfortable. Yeah, I mean, that's just me anyway. I mean, of course, I walk everywhere cloaked like this, in a protective garments. So even if any police, for example, were to try and make some arrests and I would get harmed with some rock throwing in the meanwhile, I think I'd be safe. This is pretty padded through here, and I've got my my mobile safe space for any unfortunate events that might occur. So, yeah,
what do you all think? Anyway, just chuck something in the comments below, as long as it's not racist. I don't want any calls for arrests down in the comments there. Of course, if that happens, I will completely lose my mind and ban you forever. Something like that. Something very progressive, of course. So, until the next time, everyone, Colonel Comics, away!